All right, we're here with Buff Bagwell, the legend himself. It's awesome to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, brother. Thanks for having me.
And I'm loving the hat right here, like the iconic look right here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Buff is the stuff, and he got to have the hat with him, bro, because it's always got, two of us.
Oh, yeah.
It's always Buff and my partner, Buff.
There
So,
it is.
yes.
Well, sir, it's a pleasure to meet you. My first question I love to ask is, what inspired you to even get into wrestling?
Wrestling actually picked me, and I think in life, when somebody finds something they do, if you really back it up, you find out that the business or the profession usually picks you. And I was actually at a swimming pool at an apartment complex in Atlanta, Georgia, and Missy Hyatt came up to me, a female ring announcer and a valet for WCW back in the early 90s, and she saw me at a pool, and she was like, "You should be a wrestler." And I was like, "What?" I said, "Those guys don't make any money." And she was like, "Our lowest paid guy makes $100,000 a year." I was like, "Well, then let's talk." So long story short, 34 years later, I'm here. So
the money was a big part of it.
money was a real big part. We watched it as kids, but I never thought people actually tried out to be a wrestler. But when you looked at TV, it was older guys. There wasn't no young guys. So I really think that I inspired a lot of younger guys to do the pro wrestling because there just wasn't any young guys in the wrestling business. And I was one of the first really young kids to get in it, So I was really glad to be that trailblazer, man.
Definitely. And so with your iconic, character, where did you come up with it from? Like, how did it come about?
Well, I think everybody shoots for trying to figure out who they are. And I think that if everybody just turns their self up wide open, Marcus Alexander Bagwell turned wide open is Buff Bagwell, and I think everybody tries to find their character turned wide open. And, Buff is just me turned to the max.
Definitely. And, seeing yourself in action figure and in video games, what was that like for you?
The action figure thing was huge, man. I was really blown away when I saw my first action figure because everybody in wrestling didn't have action figures then. Now everybody in wrestling's got one. But in the early 90s, that was taboo. So my first action figure was a big deal. But then when I saw it on a video game, on TV, now that was unexplainable, bro. That was like, wow, I've made it. I've made it big.
Definitely. Yeah, I could definitely feel that. Did you ever play the games? Were you a gamer or no?
I wasn't a gamer at all. My nephews, one time I came into my house and my theater room, they were playing me on my own theater room, and they were playing me, each other, hey baby girl. They were playing me on the game, and I said, wait a second, I said, y'all both are me. And it was Buff versus Buff, I was like, how did y'all do that? So it just blew my mind, man.
But you were the cool uncle because of that.
Oh, dude, I was the coolest uncle in the world. It was great, man. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. And then looking back, is there any wrestler that you wish you could have had, or any dream match that you wish you could have had, or even with a new wrestler, a new age wrestler?
Yeah, I really look back on it, man. And at the time, it would have been really cool to go up against like The Rock. The Rock was going up at the WWF the same time Buff was coming up at the WCW. And I thought that would have been a great deal to go between us. I broke my neck in 98, and I lost 10 months. That 10 months, man, was an eternity when it came to our profession because that 10 months, he moved up, and I lost that 10-month window, and I never caught up with him. And not that, keep in mind, The Rock is a movie star that happened to wrestle. And the rest of us were wrestlers that happened to be in a few movies. And that's it. He's a movie star, bro. He really is. So The Rock, to me, is the best.
Some of my final questions is, what advice could you give to aspiring wrestlers that may want to get into the industry?
Well, it's a great time to get in the business because it's just, there's just so many outlets. There's so many outlets out there that with AEW and the WWE, and now there's GCW. There's just so many little independent companies that are really becoming big. It's a great time to be a fan or a pro wrestler at the time of pro wrestling right now.
Definitely.
So good luck with it, and just no matter what you decide to do with pro wrestling, anything you dedicate yourself to, you can make it. So just stick with it.
Definitely. That's some great advice right there. And then one follow-up question, like you said, you came up in WCW and everything, and now with WWE being sold, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to open the doors for a lot of people, with Vince not being in full charge maybe as much, and a lot of enemies he may have in the business. It may be a better chance for all the wrestlers now to have more of an open door up there. So I'm excited that it's taken over by somebody else, and maybe it'll give us a lot of the older guys maybe a new avenue.
Right, definitely. Well, I appreciate it, sir. Pleasure to meet you.
Much.
Thank you so much for coming
Okay,
on.
buddy. Thank you.